What's this?
Timmy,
What is this?
you think that's gold?
That's pyrite.
No, it ain't. That ain't
Is that gold?
Yes,
No way!
I can't believe it.
So the strategy now is to use the crane to dig out this targeted area they have that they've yet to search. Based on their research, they feel like there could be gold in this area.
When Matty Blake from beyond Oak Island arrived in North Carolina, he expected to see an interesting historical project. What he found was a team of passionate innovators, a homemade monster machine called Frankensluice, and a targeted hunt inside a giant buried dredge. Within hours, they would prove that massive golden treasures are still waiting to be found, not on an island, but deep in the American South. Most people, when they hear the words gold rush, picture the dusty landscapes of California in 1849. They see an old prospector with a long beard, a pickaxe slung over his shoulder, and a pan full of dreams. But that whole picture, it's not even close to the whole story. Truth be told, America's first, and for a time its only, gold rush kicked off much earlier and thousands of miles away in the rolling hills of North Carolina. It's a fact that can rewrite your understanding of American history. Get this, from 1804 all the way to 1828, every single ounce of domestic gold deposited into the United States Treasury came from North Carolina.
Every bit of gold that went to the U.S. Treasury domestically from 1804 to 1828 was found in North Carolina.
Wow, I didn't know that.
For 24 years, this one state was the nation's golden piggy bank. It all started back in 1799 when a 12-year-old boy named Conrad Reed found a 17-pound yellow rock in a creek. For 3 years, his family used it as a doorstop, not knowing they were propping their door open with a fortune in solid gold. Once they figured it out, the rush was on. Thousands of people poured into the state, turning creeks and farmlands into buzzing hubs of activity. This forgotten era of incredible wealth left its mark on the land, with old mines and forgotten equipment slowly being swallowed by nature. But some things, some truly massive things, refused to stay buried forever. That's the story that drew the Beyond Oak Island crew to a specific piece of property in North Carolina. They'd heard about a father-son team, Tim and Ross Fisher, who hadn't just found an old pickaxe or a few coins. They had stumbled upon something monumental, a true giant from this lost chapter of history. They found a massive gold dredge buried on their own land, and as they began to uncover it, they realized they were also uncovering the gold it was built to find.
You just look and see if you're seeing anything, because the sun shines in a good spot right now.
Oh, what's this?
Timmy,
What is this?
you think that's gold?
That's pyrite.
The crew was heading into what they were told was virgin territory, a place untouched for 100 years, and nobody could have prepared them for the scale of what they were about to see. Stepping through the woods onto the Fishers' property was like stepping back in time. There, sitting in a giant pit of earth and water, was the dredge. It wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was a metal behemoth, a skeletal monster of rust and iron. The sheer size of it was breathtaking. This wasn't something you could dig up over a weekend. Unearthing this colossal machine was a challenge that most people would call absolutely crazy. The difficulty in excavating the dredge was almost impossible to put into words. This wasn't a simple dig. They were trying to preserve the machine to create a living museum, so they couldn't just bring in massive excavators and tear the earth apart. A huge amount of the work had to be done by hand, with shovels and buckets, one scoop of heavy, wet mud at a time. Every bit of material filling the dredge's metallic guts had to be removed with painstaking care. The Fishers quickly realized they had a massive problem. The dredge was so wide and sat so deep in its muddy grave that no standard equipment could reach the center to pull material out without risking the collapse of the walls or causing permanent damage to the historic structure. They were stuck. A project this big, born from a passion to save history, seemed like it might end before it even truly began. But treasure hunters are a different breed. They are innovators, driven by a goal that others can't see. Faced with an impossible situation, Tim and Ross did the only thing they could think of. They decided to build their own solution. What they came up with was a testament to the kind of ingenuity you see from legends like Dan Henske, working for Dan Blankenship on Oak Island. It was a masterpiece of grit and engineering, a machine born not in a factory but from sheer will. They didn't just find a piece of history, they were about to make some of their own. The solution to their impossible problem was standing proudly beside the excavation pit, a massive homemade crane. Matty Blake, having seen years of incredible purpose-built inventions, was floored. This crane was one of his favorite things he'd ever seen. It was built entirely from scrap metal, fabricated from scratch, and powered by pure passion.
Is that a refurbishing, or did you make it old-timey?
Homemade, yeah, I crew did it.
Scrap metal.
All from scratch.
I got to tell you, this crane that I'm looking at is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in all the years I've been doing this. This is straight out of Dan Henske working for Dan Blankenship Ingenuity. I'm really impressed.
They had to invent it as they went because, as the Fishers explained, nobody builds equipment for a job like this. You have to create it. This entire team represented what people can accomplish when they are committed to a common goal. And the crane was just the beginning of their brilliance. The Fishers led the crew to their next invention, a contraption they lovingly called the Frankensluice. And it was a perfect name. The machine was a glorious hodgepodge of recycled parts, a testament to making something amazing out of nothing. The main hopper was made from a plastic trash can, cut right in half. A clear light fixture cover served as a viewing window. The whole thing was powered by a tiny, quiet windshield wiper motor. It was a stealthy little gold-finding machine built from junk. The Frankensluice was an incredibly ingenious device. It was designed to do exactly what the massive million-dollar wash plants do, but on a shoestring budget. Dirt and rocks, the pay dirt, are shoveled into the Frankensluice. From there, the material is fed directly into a rotating trommel made from PVC pipe with expanded metal mesh inside. As the trommel spins under a steady stream of water, it sorts everything according to weight and size. Lighter soil and larger rocks are tumbled out of the end and discarded. But the heavier materials, the things every treasure hunter dreams of, fall through the grates. Those precious heavy materials, hopefully including gold, are then captured in the sluice boxes below. It was brilliant. They didn't have a ton of resources, yet they had built the exact tools they needed to take on this massive undertaking. It was a perfect fusion of old-world grit and backyard genius. With the tools in place and a crew of dedicated friends they called the Fellowship of the Dig, it was time to put the machines to the test. They were ready to finally see what treasures were hiding in the lowest, deepest parts of the dredge. The hunt for Carolina color. The plan for the day was clear and full of excitement. The team was going to finally get into the lower parts of the dredge, sections they hadn't been able to reach before. Their research and instincts told them that if there was a significant amount of gold left in the dredge, this is where it would be. Over a century, as the dredge sat silent, gravity would have done its work, pulling the heaviest and purest gold down to the very bottom. The strategy was systematic and targeted. There would be no random digging. Ross and Matty would get down into the muck and mud inside the dredge itself. They were going for the good stuff. Up top, Nicolina and the rest of the Fellowship of the Dig would work to get the pay dirt into buckets. The home-built crane would then swing into action, lifting the heavy barrels of potential treasure out of the pit. That material would then go directly to the wash plant, the mighty Frankensluice. Everyone's heart was pounding. Matty had been talking about treasure for nearly a decade, dreaming about it since he was a kid reading Treasure Island. To finally be on a real hunt, to see a piece of gold appear in the wild, pulled from the earth by a green machine made from a trash can.
As you can see, it's all made from pieces here and there. Trash can that we cut in half.
No way.
It works. Look, that's where you put your trash.
He didn't know how he would react. The moment was finally here. With a roar, the pumps for the Frankensluice cranked up. The machine sputtered to life and the team began feeding it shovelful after shovelful of dark, wet earth from the bottom of the dredge. As the material tumbled through the spinning trommel, everyone's eyes were glued to the process. They were looking for the telltale glint of gold, of course, but also for anything else of value. Old glass objects, pieces of metal tools, or even preserved bits of wood from the ship's decaying structure could tell a part of the dredge's long-lost story. Minutes felt like hours as the machine churned, a steady stream of mud and rock pouring from its end. All they could see was rock and dirt. The anticipation was becoming almost unbearable. After running several heavy buckets of material, Tim gave the signal. It was time to shut it down and do a clean out. The hum of the windshield wiper motor and the sloshing of the water suddenly went silent. The quiet that fell over the site was heavy with expectation. This was the moment of truth. Every dig, every crazy invention, and every hour of back-breaking work came down to what they would find in the bottom of that sluice box. The process was delicate. They carefully washed down the sluice mat, rinsing all the captured heavy material into a gold pan. The sun was in the perfect spot, hanging in the sky at just the right angle to make even the smallest speck of gold light up like a star. The final concentrate was a mix of dark, heavy black sand and hopefully something more. As the water swirled in the pan, washing away the lighter sand, everyone leaned in closer. Their breath was held, their eyes wide. Then they saw it. At first, it was just one tiny flake, a flash of brilliant yellow against the dark sand. Then another and another. It wasn't just dust. There were small pickers, pieces of gold big enough to be picked up with your fingers. The excitement was electric. They had done it. Their homemade machine, their crazy plan, it had all worked. They were finding gold.
What is this?
You think that's gold?
That's pyrite.
No, it ain't. That ain't
Is that gold?
pyrite. Yeah,
No way!
But as they continued to carefully swirl the pan, washing away more of the black sand, the true scale of the find began to reveal itself. This wasn't just a few flakes. The bottom of the pan wasn't just dotted with yellow, it was starting to become coated. The number of pickers grew from a few to a dozen, then dozens. The weight in the pan was undeniable. Ross looked up from the pan, his eyes wide with disbelief, and stared at the crew. He opened his mouth, but for a moment no words came out. Finally, he managed to whisper the three words everyone was feeling. I can't believe it. That single pan was just the beginning.
That ain't
Is that gold?
pyrite. Yeah, it's
No
gold.
way!
I can't believe it.
The phrase, "I can't believe it," was echoed again and again as they processed the rest of the concentrate from that first run. It was a massive find. This wasn't the fine flour gold you might expect. This was heavy, substantial North Carolina gold. The bottom of their pans turned yellow with flakes, pickers, and even a few small, chunky nuggets that had been hiding in the dredge's belly for 100 years. They had hit a pocket of treasure that had been completely missed by the original operators. The sheer volume of gold they recovered in that one afternoon was staggering. It was more than a hobbyist's lucky find. It was a significant recovery that instantly validated the Fisher family's monumental effort. Every drop of sweat, every busted knuckle from fabricating the crane, every second spent designing a sluice box from a trash can had paid off in the most spectacular way possible. They hadn't just saved a piece of history, they had become a part of it. For Matty Blake and the Beyond Oak Island crew, this was a discovery that resonated deeply. It was proof that incredible treasure stories are not confined to a single island in Nova Scotia. They are hidden all over, waiting for people with the passion and ingenuity to uncover them. This North Carolina gold was more than just valuable metal. It was a direct, tangible link to America's forgotten golden age. Each flake that shone in the pan was a piece of the story of the thousands of people who toiled in these hills 2 centuries ago. The find has completely changed the future of the Fishers project. Their dream of a living museum is now funded by the very history it seeks to preserve. The gold will help them continue the excavation, to fully restore the dredge, and to build a place where visitors can come and learn about the real story of the American gold rush. They prove that with enough heart and a little bit of homemade engineering, you can still find a king's ransom, not buried on a remote island, but right in your own backyard. This find is incredible, but it also opens up new mysteries. If this much gold was missed, what else did the old-timers leave behind? Like and subscribe for more amazing treasure hunts.